Hi, it's Ron from Dirtbike magazine, and welcome to the 19's Dual Sport edition. We're going to take a look at all the dual sport bikes for 2019, starting with another look at the CRF 450L. As everyone knows, this bike was the big news in dual sport for this year, pretty much the whole last decade. People have been waiting for this type of bike from Honda for a very, very long time. Now we've had the bike for a while, we've been riding it, we were one of the first ones to come out with a test, and we've learned so much more about it. First, to go over a few things we already know, this is based loosely on the CRF 450R motocross bike. Now, a lot of people have cast a little shadow over that right now, but it's legit. This bike truly is as close to a CRF 450 in design as can be. A lot of the part numbers are different because they had to be. The motor is a little bit wider to contain the 6-speed transmission. As a result, the frame had to be a little wider where it interacts with the motor. But in terms of geometry and concept, it really is a lot like the motocross bike. Now, having said that, it is a DOT legal bike, which means that Honda had to go through the full rigmarole to get it certified for emissions and for sound. Of the two, sound is the more difficult. That means they had to really go through some pretty great lengths to get the bike quiet enough to pass the EPA noise test. For one thing, the engine is actually encased in plastic. They have plastic guards, one on each side of the case to keep mechanical noise down. There's no way you would even want a full motocross motor for a dual sport bike. It just doesn't make sense. This bike's goal is to be a legitimate trail bike that you can take on the road. Of course, now we've been riding it for a few months. A lot of the shortcomings have shown up, and a lot of the things that we really have come to love about the bike are raising their heads. First off, the suspension. It's excellent. Honda nailed it with this bike. It's not stiff like a motocross bike. We're not talking about something that you would take and jump big doubles, do supercross with. None of that. This bike is just comfortable. You roll over rocks and roots. Everything about it is the type of thing that you would want to spend days riding. The motor is excellent too. Like we said, it's a legitimate trail bike. It's not 60 horsepower, but it is about 45 horsepower, and it's smooth. It's really good off the bottom in particular. It comes on from the bottom. It starts to taper off a little bit early compared to a lot of dirt bikes. We come to expect that from a bike that you can barely hear running. There are some things that we don't like about the bike. The first, it's pretty much obvious. It was obvious up front. It's heavy. This bike started off as a Honda CRF 450R motocross bike, which is already the heaviest motocross bike. And then by the time Honda added 6 pounds of muffler here, a few guards here, another gear in the transmission, it brought the weight up 277 pounds dry. That's on our scale. You put a full tank of gas in it, it's almost 290. That's a little bit much, and you feel it when you get on the trail. It's a hard bike to manage. As far as the tires go, we just couldn't get by with the stock IRC tires. They're heavily street oriented, and we wanted something a little more aggressive. We went with Mitas dual sport tires because they are very aggressive and still fully DOT approved. That allowed us to take the bike pretty much anywhere you would take a full-on 100% dirt bike. Another thing we really love about the bike is how well it's built. Honda went overboard, and maybe this is where some of the weight comes from, with the subframe. You can grab the rear fender and you can lift the bike by it, and that's very rare in a dual sport bike. The blinkers, they're not going to break. They're on there to stay. Same thing with the mirrors. They're burly. Everything about the bike is a little bit overbuilt. We're not done yet with this bike. We're going to make some modifications, but we're going to keep the bike street legal because that is the whole point. We're talking about dual sport bikes here. That means we're not going to do too much that would interfere with the stock muffler, the emissions, and the noise. But stay tuned. We're going to have a lot more to say about this bike. To see more on the 2019 CRF 450L, go to dirtbikemagazine.com and look for a dual sport shootout, which we have coming up very soon.